By the way, Jun Shan, it's an island. Yeah, it's a district, but the real Jun Shan Yin Zhen comes from the Jun Shan Island. It's surrounded by the Dongting Lake, so it's very, very foggy, and the environment here is just really pretty. I kind of just want to give you an overall view of this particular lot. This is the lot that right behind the making facility. So you can see once I turn over here, the tea is a little more uniform. And over here, actually, you see the line here. Over here is the Taoyuan Daiye, the big leaf worm, and over here is Bixiangzao. This is the smaller leaf worm, and you hear the birds and the kids sing is really really nice. And then over here, which is kind of the least uniform, this is the old varietal. So I was asking her because remember Jun Shan Yin Zhen is the most meticulous about picking grade. This still gives you a glimpse of the past tributary. Basically there's so many rules of what can be picked and what cannot be picked. So over here you only want to pick a single bud. So a lot of times the tea has opened up, so these are all been picked. For example, like over here. So this is a tea that has already opened up, and this is not something that we want to pick because originally it was a bud like this, and then it opened up, a leaf comes up, another leaf comes up, and you can see there's still a bud in here, but this bud is too skinny now in comparison with this fat bud. You can see the difference in girth, right? So this is no longer considered a good bud for Indian, but this would be a good one for picking for green tea, a high-grade green tea actually. But this is what you want for a silver needle or a Indian, and this one is even bigger. 这个是那个银针1号是吧？是。Yeah, so this is actually the most precious varietal here on this island. This is Indian number 1. So this is not an old varietal. This is actually a colonial varietal. But this was one of the earlier generations of colonial varietal, and it's kind of endangered and it's dying out. People are not planning to replanting them, and these tea trees from just the height alone you can tell that these are pretty old tea trees. This is remember these are not really very big leaf varietals, but yet it can grow like this big. It still has just the branches but not the trunk, which is a very rare thing that you see for a yellow tea varietal.
通过生长这个包叶两个包叶吧，两个包叶分开的，这就是银针吧的。
Yeah. So see, like at the very beginning, you have a bud that's shooting out from just this leaf, this is a supporting leaf which cannot be picked, even though it's still very small and tender. But this leaf is actually really old. The moisture level is very low, and then at the very beginning, actually, even this one is covering up this bud, and then we know that the earlier the bud is, the bigger it is in comparison to the leaf. So see, once this one shoot out, it's actually much fatter and bigger than the supporting leaf. And now this is at a different growth level. I just kind of want to show you. So again, you see over here, and then over here you have the bud with the leaf that almost opened up again. And then inside here, see, you can see there's another bud. And this bud will continue to shoot out and it open up and then give you more leaves. Now, usually for green tea picking, you pick something like, well, this one already become the opposite leaf. But when this one was still the bud, and then you would pick these 3 together as a green tea picking. And now for yellow tea picking, it's very picky because you only want the bud. And now when this one opened up and this one comes out, this is a pretty good bud, but not the best bud. The best bud is when this one is still covering it all up. But now it's too late because it's already opened up and you can't undo it.
那么他把明年开始不是行了吧？银针的价格属于毛巾价格有10倍的差价，那么呢这个银针那么就可惜了不？所以说他的这个采茶的，比方说这个银针来的都要及时采了的，再不采他马上到明天就开掉了，看到？对，他就开掉了，那么就不吃行了，那万达金子化成了水呀。所以说他这个事情都是非常时间很紧凑，到时候就要采。
So the overall tea season after yellow tea and then Maojian and then the regular green tea that they do, the overall tea season is about 40 days. And he was explaining that these buds has to be picked today because if it's not picked today, then tomorrow it'll become too old to be yellow tea. By the way, they all vary the budding. That's why you always have to keep almost scouting the same lot to make sure what can be picked, what cannot be picked. And usually when people are talking about a good budding time is when tea buds pretty universally, so you don't have to keep going back to scouting it. But if it's always like 20% bud today, 20% bud tomorrow, it becomes very tedious. So he was saying that tomorrow, after these buds become maojian, then the price drop tenfold. So one day is a huge difference. That's why these historically famous teas, green teas, yellow teas, are always the most meticulous about picking grade. So right now, this is a batch of fresh leaves. 哎，好的，好的，好的，好的，我等一下再去打扰您。So this is a batch of fresh leaves that just came back this morning. Now I was told it's not enough for them to make them yet. So this is this year's the old variety. So you heard Mr. By the way, that was Mr. Gao when I was talking with him, the gentleman who I was talking to. Now he's the only man in China who basically knows how to make this particular tea, Jun Shan Yin Zhen. These leaves are as you can see, these are all just fat buds, not leaves. That's why it has such a particular look. Now this is all the old variety. So on this island, it actually still has the largest coverage of the old varieties. And Mr. Gao was very happy, and he was telling me that this is the old tea. This is the old seeds, not the new ones. And we all know that even though there's so much effort into cloning the teas, but as a tea drinker and somebody who follows traditional ways of making tea, the old varieties is always the most preferred. Now we're gonna start making tea probably afternoon. 这个是什么品种啊？
这样，
这个是1号是吧？
银针1号吧。
银
针1号。
So this is the very first step. I think they're actually going to bake the tea to kill the enzymes. So they're spreading the tea onto these trays. What are we doing now? This is the engine number 1. This is the most expensive one. You can see how fat the bud is. Or not. Let me go. There, over here. It's really dark in here. Sorry. So now we have the first batch of the teas into the baking machine. By the way, this baking machine actually uses infrared for baking. I actually just had a long conversation with this gentleman here. He was telling me that basically from Mr. Gao's generation, including his father's generation, the technique to hand killing the grain of the yellow tea basically has been lost. And he was saying that it's much harder than what people think, and because these teas are very precious, there's simply not enough practice time for, like, basically the training costs would be too high for younger people to risk messing up these tea leaves. He was saying that a lot of people, even after 30 years of practicing, they still cannot get it right, because a lot of these people, even though they don't know how to get it right, but they know what is right because they have gone through that generation with their fathers. So the mandate now is to just use machine. Remember, with machine is always the saying that if you cannot do it well with hand, do it with machine, but with hand it's always better. 这个要烘多长时间啊
？4分钟不到。
4分钟不到就好了。
4分钟。
哦。
3分58秒。
4分钟不到。
3分58秒。
哦。So just to show you how exact it is, they need. So 你是在拿那个在看时间是吧？
中国人民解放军的表表。
So they need to get it right exactly at 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Because these teas are meticulous, these, even though now they involve machine, but I still want to show you just how specific the making of these teas are, and you can have a glimpse of why Chinese back in the days people are so particular with our teas, and the differences from the picking to the making, everything make a huge difference in the outcome of the teas, and then therefore the prices as well. And also, you know, everybody was saying that with machine it makes the tea a little faster as well, which is top down, that's the main goal. Alright, time is up. I wish I captured the exact time when basically there was this gentleman yelled like, pick it out! But I missed that moment. But anyway, so now like 3 minutes and 58 seconds have passed. So they're moving the trays out and then putting new batch of trays in. Now they're putting the 刚才那个温度很高是吧？哦，这是在筛茶。And now, this is the step that you see in a lot of tea refining process. It's basically to kind of sickle out any of the bits of the teas. This is very skilled work, by the way. Even though I've seen so many people doing it in different tea regions, it's not as easy as it looks. You can see that these are just tiny bits of the oops, that door closed, so I don't know. So basically, it is to sickle out any of the lighter leaves. Here we have a batch of Yin Zhen or Yin Zhen number 1, silver needle number 1. Remember, this is yellow tea, not the white tea silver needle. This is, you know, probably the most expensive tea in China. It's definitely the most expensive varietal here. It's so rare and it's pretty old. It's a colonial varietal, but it's a very old generation. Last year the production was only about 17 pounds. This year probably a little higher, but next year they're considering seeding picking because the buds are shrinking smaller and smaller every year as the tea trees get older. So this is the first, this is the second step after you kill the grain. What we're doing here is we're actually just baking the tea to the moisture level about 60%, and then we're gonna go put it into the bags to wrap it up and then let it ferment. Yeah, so you can see these teas, and you want to make sure that it's distributed very evenly. And there are a few tricks I was told to do. One is to turn it around and then look at the color difference. And another thing is basically by squeezing it to feel the softness of the tea and then see how much it clumps up. Another really good advice I got was also to listen to the sound of it, because as the leaf hardens, it'll start to cling and give more sound to it. But you also want to make sure that you cover it up really well. So this is was taking the tea out from. Remember, this step is the first baking step after the kill grain step. Versus the kill grain step is 207 degrees Celsius. The other one was only about 80 degrees Celsius. And the teas are here. You can see it already kind of take on a yellowish color, but it's mostly still green. Well, I guess the resolution isn't that great.
不远心的话，你在这里待一天的话，你走出去，人家闻到你身上有个茶香味。
Oh, he was saying that after making tea here all day long, because the tea smells so good, sometimes when he go back to the township, people will ask him, why are you smelling so good? What's that smell? He said, it's the tea smell. And then we can see that over here, because these teas are truly processed in very small batches. So every individual tray is basically a different picking, a different varietal. Usually they have a piece of paper on it to indicate which one it is, unless just a few ones are being made. This is the one that people will put in the bag and then put in the fermentation room to further ferment it, basically. So this is the old varietal. 这个是已经发过一次的，这个是So this is the one. So the reason that we put these teas on the tray is to make sure that you have the heat that dissipate, so it does not trap the heat. Because you want to make sure the moisture level is just at the right amount, right? So once it's the right amount of moisture level, then you wrap it up in the bags. So the outside is dry, but the inside of the beef, there's still gonna get moisture. So after 48 hours, the moisture is gonna come out to the surface, and that's when we are actually gonna do it again over here at a much lower temperature, and then we'll wrap the tea up again and then let it ferment again for 24 hours, and then we're gonna make it dry on the charcoal tray. So these are the leaves that has been after fermentation, but hasn't been baked the second time yet. Now this tea has been fermented for actually over 24 hours. This is from yesterday's noon. 就是你摁一下它就不抹。哦，好的。
你把它都没搓下去，它成粉了。
哦，
就
好了。
就成粉了。
So I was asking, how do you tell if it's done? Because these are this is the finishing step before selection. So you want to make sure you drive as much moisture out of the tea as possible. Hopefully it's 100% dry. But how do you tell? So what we do is basically you can rub the tea, and if it becomes powder, then it's done. Remember when we were baking the tea on the other tray, I actually squeezed the tea in my hand, but the tea did not crumble because there's still moisture in there. 那您多久翻一次啊？
100分吧。
1刻钟。Oh. So about every quarter, he will actually flip the tea. So every 15 minutes or so, he needs to flip the tea to make sure the tea receives the heat evenly. And if I actually leave this, 我可以拿起来一下。I just want to show you the charcoal pit underneath it. See, it's all just ashes, but these are the very, very dim fire, and you want to be very gentle because what's the killer for the tea is that if any dust goes into the charcoal pit, it's going to create a string of smoke, and the smoke is a huge no-no for all teas. I just want to say again, smoking flavor, other than Jun Shan Xiaozhong, which is still very controversial, that you intentionally smoke the tea. Smoking flavor in tea is a big no-no. So I'm here with some of the first batch of Jun Shan Yin Zhen this year. As we know, this is the most expensive tea in China. This is a yellow tea, and this batch is very, very special. Not only that this is an old varietal, but I was told this special batch was actually made for a special guest that this facility was receiving yesterday. So I'm lucky enough to have, I guess, some of the leftovers from what they specially made for that guest. Remember, Jun Shan Yin Zhen is basically nowadays China's tribute tea is actually state-owned, so it's usually a tea that's used to treat the important guests from the government or diplomats. So I feel very lucky I get to have some. 好了. By the way, the aroma is amazing, and I just want to show you how tender the teas are. It makes me so happy looking at it. By the way, the ladies here are picking the tea. Remember on the menu we have the shell, so that's what they're doing. They're separating the good bud from the shell. And I want to show you because this is like a very early pick. See how shiny and plump the teas are. And now this is really, really good tea. So they're also picking out any that got bitten or that's actually has a frostbite. So they're picking any leaf that basically does not qualify. 你们剪出来的是在这边是吧？这边是剪得好的，对吧？ Yeah, so this is the good tea. See how shiny and plump they are. And over here, 就这边的是壳子。就是那杯茶被撞翻了。哦，最漂亮的时候。And then this is the shell. See, this is a very little difference, and this is the unpicked ones. But this is how strict this tea is. Remember, this is the most expensive tea in China. So I was just told that if you cover for a little bit and then release it, it's actually the best to bring out the aroma of the yellow tea. Because the tea did not go through a process of rolling. So it's the best to cover just a little bit and give it a little cooking and then release it. So it was covered for about, I would say 20 seconds.